You're sitting somewhere warm right now, probably without even thinking about the cold. If the temperature drops, you pull the blanket a little higher. If it gets dark, you turn on a light. If you're hungry, food is always close by. Modern life has made us forget something very strange. There was a time when a single winter night could kill an entire family. No electricity, no heaters, no winter jackets, no supermarkets, no hospitals. Only darkness, snow, ice, and the fear of surviving until morning. More than 20,000 years ago, Earth entered one of the coldest periods humans had ever faced. Massive ice sheets covered huge parts of Europe, Northern Asia, and North America. Freezing winds swept across open land with almost no trees to block them. In some places, the cold was so severe that human skin could go numb within minutes outside. And the terrifying part is this: humans were never built for that world. We don't have thick fur like mammoths. We can't hibernate like bears. We don't have heavy layers of fat like seals. Our ancestors came from the warm climates of Africa, yet somehow they were forced to survive inside a frozen nightmare. And every winter became a battle. Nighttime was the worst part. The sun disappeared early. Some days only had a few hours of weak gray light before darkness swallowed the land again. During snowstorms, the outside world vanished completely. No lights, no sounds, only the wind screaming through the frozen dark. And snow does something strange. It absorbs sound. That's why the world becomes unnaturally quiet during heavy snowfall. A hunter could walk only a short distance away from camp and disappear forever without anyone hearing a single cry for help. Today, people think silence feels peaceful. Back then, silence often meant death was nearby. Inside their shelters, life wasn't much better. Small huts made from mammoth bones, animal hides, mud, and packed earth were filled with the smell of smoke, wet fur, and burning animal fat. Fires had to stay alive through the entire night, because if the flames died, the temperature inside could drop dangerously fast. And sometimes, falling asleep too deeply meant never waking up again. Families slept tightly packed together to share body heat. The elderly stayed near the center. Children were wrapped in animal skins beside their mothers. Human warmth became one of the most valuable things on Earth. Some mothers stayed awake almost the entire night just to check if their babies were still breathing. Because infants were often the first to die in extreme cold. A baby crying too loudly could attract wolves. But a baby that stayed too quiet might already be frozen to death. And outside those shelters, winter was not the only thing hunting humans. Wolf packs followed human tracks for miles. Cave lions larger than modern lions moved silently through the darkness. Giant hyenas had jaws strong enough to crush bones apart. Humans were weaker than almost every large predator around them. One mistake could end everything. A broken leg during winter was almost a death sentence. Losing fire meant freezing to death. A failed hunt could leave an entire group starving within weeks. And starvation changes people quickly. After many days without enough food, the body begins feeding on itself. Thinking slows down. Hands lose feeling. People panic more easily, become aggressive, and make dangerous mistakes. Some archaeological sites even show evidence of cannibalism during extreme winters. Not because those people were monsters, but because when humans stand between life and death, they will do terrifying things to survive a little longer. And yet, somehow, humanity did not disappear. We survived because we had one thing stronger animals did not: the ability to think. Humans learned to turn animal hides into warm clothing. They rubbed animal fat onto their skin to block freezing wind. They invented bone needles that allowed them to sew fitted clothing instead of simply wrapping fur around their bodies. That tiny needle may have saved the human species from extinction. They also learned how to build shelters partly underground to trap heat. They used moss, mud, and snow as insulation against the wind. Meat was dried, smoked, and stored for the long winter months ahead. Everything in their lives revolved around preparing for the cold. Modern people think of autumn as a beautiful season. For our ancestors, autumn was survival season. It was the time to repair clothing, store meat, gather fuel, and pray that the coming winter would not be worse than the last one. Because sometimes, winter did not end. There were years when migrating animals disappeared completely. Some snowstorms lasted so long that entire groups died inside their shelters. Some tribes vanished from Earth without leaving behind anything except bones buried deep beneath the ice. But some people survived, enough to rise the next generation. Enough so that tens of thousands of years later, you could sit safely in a warm room and hear this story. And maybe the strangest part of all is this: the deadliest enemy humanity ever faced was not war, not disease, not wild animals. It was winter, and there was once a time when surviving a single cold night was considered a great victory.